Welcome to my channel. What you're about to hear isn't just another Sister Wives update. It's the emotional unraveling of a man who once called himself the king of plural marriage. The cameras have been turned off, the house is empty, and for the first time, Kody Brown is standing alone inside the walls that built and broke his entire empire. Our sources tell us that this is not a goodbye episode shot for the show. This is something else. Something real. In the dead of night, with no crew, no lights, and no wives remaining to entertain, Kody made one final trip to the Flagstaff mansion, the house he once declared would hold the future of the family. Instead, it became a reminder of all that failed. Neighbors reported hearing the lights go on at about 2 a.m., a lone truck parked in the driveway. From inside, Kody's voice rang down the hallways, arguing with himself, reliving memories that had long reduced to dust. He moved from one room to the next, stroking the furniture, the photos still on the walls, the doorframe measuring his children's heights. And then, our source reports, something strange occurred. He began arguing with the empty house. "I constructed it for them," he added, walking up and down the living room, his voice shaking. "And now there's just me." Crew, imagine that. The man who demanded loyalty, preached unity and obedience, now standing where all the promises fell through. But this is the thing. That night was not so much about nostalgia or regret. There was something else he was thinking about. Something that compelled him to grab his phone, scroll through past messages, and mouth a name that has not been said in years. What transpired next upends everything we believed we knew about Kody's downfall. And our insider says the video proof of what really went down that night can still be found. Because this wasn't a goodbye. It was a confession. And what he confessed next will blow even his most ardent defenders away. Keep reading with me, because the reality behind that night is more sinister than any episode TLC ever had the guts to film. What followed, as our source tells us, wasn't captured on TV. It was taped by Kody himself. An intimate, tearful video that was never intended to leave the walls of that estate. But there is a copy, and it's already being shared behind the scenes among those close to the production team. They refer to it as the lost tape. In the video, Kody sits alone at the kitchen table, staring into the camera like he's talking to someone who isn't there. His face is pale, his voice uneven, and the silence between his words says more than anything else. He starts by saying, "They all think I'm the villain, but nobody knows what really happened inside this house." He speaks of the nights he lay awake, walking those same corridors while the family slept, of the fear that crept in when the cameras went dark, the fear of losing control, being forgotten. He concedes that the money woes, the lawsuits, even the broken marriages were mere symptoms of something more profound. He refers to it as the sickness of being watched. Then he shifts his tone. He laughs, not a jovial laugh, but the sort of laugh that originates from some unstable place. He states, "They wanted Astery, I gave them one. I gave them everything. My life, my kids, my soul, all for ratings." He bangs his hand on the table, and for a brief moment the camera does too. But then he leans in and whispers something that makes your spine tingle. "And they still want more." Our source reports that's when he rises from his seat and moves toward the camera. The clomping of his boots resounds across the tile. He gets in close, his eyes trained directly into the lens, and says, "You think it's over?" It's not. They're still watching. And then the screen blacks out. Crew, what's horrifying isn't what he said. It's what he could have meant. Because just days after that video was made, several members of the Sister Wives production team, for no apparent reason, erased years of behind-the-scenes material. Whole hard drives disappeared. Accounts were frozen. And according to one source, TLC executives issued a data cleanse in the name of legal compliance. Coincidence? Or was it an attempt to cover up what Kody uttered that night? Whatever it was, this tape, if indeed it exists, might be the piece of the puzzle that makes sense of it all. His paranoia, his breakdown, and why he allegedly got himself banned from appearing at the Sister Wives reunion shoot. And that's only the start. Because those who've watched the tape tell us that there's one scene, one sequence, even they cannot undo. The moment Kody ceases to be a husband and becomes something else altogether. Our source tells us that the second part of the tape, what they refer to as the moment of fracture, is where it all shifts. The camera cuts from Kody sitting at the kitchen table to him walking down the hallway, camera clutched in his hand. His tone is softer now, but it shakes with anger and sorrow all blended together. He says, "They turned me into a monster, and then they sold that monster to the world." He passes through photos of family members, laughing faces, children at birthday parties, previous shots from Vegas, and one by one, he removes them from the wall. The sounds of the frames cracking onto the floor are heard. "You think they loved me?" Hesks. They loved the paycheck. He stands in front of one picture, himself and all four wives a sewn group in that original TLC promo photo, the one that convinced the world that they were an ideal family. He keeps it for a long time, wheezing before speaking up. This is the deception which constructed the house. And he shatters it. That's when something really bizarre occurs. The camera itself begins to vibrate, as if he dropped it, but the mic continues to pick up. You hear him talking to himself. "They told me to be real, to open up, so I did. But when you open up too far, they don't want the truth, they want the breakdown." Then, in the static, he begins naming names. Not only relatives, but producers, editors, people off camera. He claims, "They told me to fight more. They told me to yell. They told me to push Christine until she cried, because that's what gets numbers." Crew, consider that. If what he's reporting is true, this wasn't dysfunction. It was direction. Manufactured drama that became authentic devastation, but what follows makes that look tame. Because as he heads towards the living room, the camera spots something on the table. An envelope marked "Confidential, Contract Renewal" on the front. He reaches for it, rips it open, and laughs. This fragmented, bitter laugh that resonates throughout the entire room. He utters, "They renewed it without my consent. They own me even now." He looks right into the camera once more, eyes bloodshot, voice trembling. "You think I'm insane?" Perhaps I am. But they constructed this. They shot every moment of it. And then they expect to act as if they didn't. The video blinks off for a second, and then the camera picks up again. He's outside now, under the porch light, grasping a matchbook from the old Las Vegas home. He lights a match, looks at it, and mutters, "If I can't burn the show, maybe I'll burn the story." And that's where the tape stops. But the tale doesn't. For the next morning, our mole tells us, the Flagstaff police had a welfare call from a worried relative. When they got there, Kody had vanished. The house was empty and cold, and the only thing remaining on the table was the camera. And on its screen, 2 words scrawled in dust, "Still filming." By the time news of the tape had leaked to the production ranks, TLC was in full-blown panic. Emails were being deleted, phone calls redirected, NDAs quietly renewed for anyone who ever worked with the Browns. But the truth will have a way of seeping through the cracks, and one crew member, a person who has been with the show since the Vegas days, finally spoke out. They authenticated that the tape was genuine. Not staged, not edited, not any promo. It was Kody's own material, recorded while in a complete mental and emotional breakdown. They claimed he personally delivered it to a producer late one evening and said, "You want my story?" Here's how it ends. Worse, the same source reports the tape wasn't only emotional, it was proof. They say Kody disclosed inside information about contracts, behind-the-scenes manipulation, and undisclosed financial deals that, if uncovered, would ruin the reputation of the network. As soon as he delivered that tape, everything went haywire. The following week, TLC suddenly removed several Sister Wives reruns from the schedule. A scheduled reunion special disappeared from the lineup. Even Robyn Brown's individual interview, which sources contend was already in the can, never made it to air. In public, the network blamed it on a scheduling restructure. Behind closed doors, it was a lockdown. Meanwhile, the fans began to notice. Kody's social media went dark. His Cameo page vanished. Posts were deleted from the family's accounts overnight. But here's the twist. Someone continued to log into one of Kody's old online accounts days after his disappearance. Messages were sent. A file was uploaded to a private drive labeled endtapefinal.mp4. Nobody has any idea what's in that file. The link was suppressed within minutes, but for a couple of minutes it was active. Some handful of users reported catching a preview image before it disappeared. Kody, cradled in a poorly lit room, the same gray t-shirt from the night in Flagstaff, looking directly at the camera. In the corner of the shot, what appears to be the logo of a documentary production company. Crew, if that's the case, it means Kody wasn't in hiding. He was continuing to film, and not for TLC. Because here's the really dark part. A Reddit thread from a reputable industry insider states that a forthcoming streaming docuseries working title The Brown Experiment includes unseen footage supplied by a family insider, and that footage supposedly includes parts of Kody's missing confession. If this show is legitimate, what this means is Kody's tale isn't ending, it's getting remade. But he's not the patriarch calling these shots this time around. He's the one being investigated. So the question now is no longer where Kody Brown disappeared to. The question is, who is behind the camera this time around? Because if this rumored docuseries emerges, it won't only ruin the sister wives' legacy, it will lay bare the whole machine that made it all possible. And that brings us here, crew, to the question nobody at TLC, nobody in Flagstaff, and nobody in that family wants to answer. Because late last night, a new clip leaked on a private message board that's infamous for spilling unaired TV content. It was only 30 seconds long before it was taken down. But the image is seared into every person who witnessed it. It starts with a shaky frame, the sound of wind, and Kody's voice saying softly, "They think I'm gone, but I'm still here." The camera pans down. He's standing in what looks like a desert clearing, surrounded by rocks arranged in a perfect circle. And then, right before the footage cuts to black, a woman's voice, faint, trembling, whispers, "Don't let them find this." Crew, that voice. It wasn't Robyn's, it wasn't Janelle's or Christine's, it was someone else. Within a single hour of that clip going up, all copies were removed. Accounts wiped. The forum shut. But people are already referring to it as the forbidden scene. So what was that video really depicting? Who was Kody with that night? And who on earth would ever take the risk of leaking it now, after all that's transpired? We don't know everything yet, but we do know this. There is somebody out there who wants this story suppressed, and somebody else who wants to ensure that it isn't. Because as one of the posted anonymous messages simply stated, Part 2 was never supposed to exist. And crew, if that's the case, then whatever lies ahead isn't just another episode. It's the reckoning. Stay subscribed. Turn that bell on, because when the next tape is released, we'll be the first to reveal to you what they never wanted you to see.